I smoothed down my simple black dress, a Chanel piece that cost more than my sister's car, though they'd never recognize it as I walked into the exclusive country club where my mother's 60th birthday celebration was being held. The valet gave me a dismissive look as I stepped out of my modest Toyota Camry, a stark contrast to the line of luxury vehicles already parked out front. "Miss, the service entrance is around back," he said, not even trying to hide his disdain. "I'm a guest," I replied quietly, handing him my invitation. His eyes widened slightly as he recognized the Parker family name, but the damage was already done. Just another reminder of how the world saw me, or rather how my family wanted the world to see me. The grand ballroom was already filled with the elite of Boston society, all there to celebrate Elizabeth Parker's milestone birthday. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over tables decorated with elaborate flower arrangements that probably cost more than what they thought I made in a month. "Oh, look who finally showed up," my sister Victoria's voice carried across the room, deliberately loud enough for nearby guests to hear. "The prodigal daughter returns." She air-kissed my cheek, her diamond bracelet catching the light. "That's an interesting choice of dress. Outlet store." I suppressed a smile, thinking of the private fitting at Chanel's Paris atelier where I'd selected this deliberately understated piece. "Something like that. Sarah." My mother's voice held that familiar note of disappointment as she approached. "You're late and you couldn't even dress properly for the occasion?" I watched her take in my appearance. The simple dress, the minimal jewelry, the lack of obvious designer labels. Everything carefully chosen to maintain the image they'd created of me. The failure, the disappointment, the daughter who'd rejected the family's prestigious banking legacy to find herself. If they only knew that while they thought I was soul-searching, I'd actually built one of the most successful private investment firms in Asia. That my company SP Global now managed over $12 billion in assets. That the modest Toyota I drove was just for show, while my private jet waited at Logan International Airport. "Sorry, Mom. Traffic was bad." I offered her the small wrapped package I'd brought, a rare vintage wine that cost more than the entire party, though the simple wrapping suggested otherwise. "At least you brought something," Victoria smirked. "Though I hope it's better than last year's homemade gift basket." So embarrassing. I thought about last year's basket. Actually a carefully curated collection of minority shares in companies I knew would skyrocket in value. Shares I'd gifted to my parents through a blind trust they hadn't bothered to research. Those shares had quadrupled in value since then, though they remained blissfully unaware of their worth. "Victoria just made junior partner at Goldman Sachs," my mother announced proudly to nearby guests. "And she's engaged to Senator Williams' son. Now that's how you build a proper future. While some of us," Victoria added with fake concern, "still can't seem to find steady employment." "How long has it been since your last real job, Sarah?" 3 years. 3 years. The exact time since I'd left my entry-level position at a local investment firm to establish SP Global. While they thought I was unemployed, I'd been building an empire that would soon reshape the entire Asian financial market. "I've been doing some consulting," I said vaguely, accepting a glass of champagne from a passing waiter. The same answer I always gave when they asked about my work. "Consulting?" My father scoffed, joining our little group. "Is that what we're calling unemployment these days? Your sister closed a $100 million deal last week. What have you done besides drain your trust fund?" My phone buzzed in my clutch. A message from my assistant. "Ma'am, urgent call needed regarding the Singapore merger. $3 billion deal ready to close." I placed my phone face down on the table. The merger could wait a few more minutes. After all, I'd been waiting 5 years for this moment. "Actually, Dad," I started, but was cut off by the clinking of glasses as my mother prepared to give her birthday speech. "First, I want to thank everyone for coming tonight," she began, her voice carrying across the now quiet room. "Looking around, I see so much success, so much achievement. Victoria, my brilliant daughter, following in the family's footsteps." She paused, her eyes finding me in the crowd. "And Sarah? Well, we all have our challenges, don't we?" The room filled with polite laughter. I felt my phone buzz again, more insistently this time. "Speaking of challenges," Victoria chimed in, raising her glass, "maybe it's time for Sarah to finally grow up and join the real world. I'm sure I could find you something entry-level at Goldman. Filing, perhaps." That's when my phone rang, not a message this time but an actual call. the special ringtone I'd set for absolute emergencies. The room went quiet as I answered, all eyes on the apparent failure daring to take a call during her mother's birthday speech. "Yes," I said, my voice clear in the silence. "Ma'am," my pilot's voice carried clearly through the speaker. "The jet is fueled and ready. The Singapore board is waiting for your arrival to close the merger. Shall I inform them you're on your way?" I could feel Victoria's smirk turn to confusion. My mother's speech faltered mid-sentence. "Please tell the board," I said calmly, "that their CEO will be there in 3 hours. And make sure the champagne is chilled. We'll be celebrating a $3 billion merger." The silence that followed was absolute. I could almost hear the crystal chandeliers tinkling above us. "Sarah," my father's voice cracked slightly. "What jet?" I stood up, smoothing my Chanel dress. "My jet, Dad. The one I bought last year when SP Global hit $10 billion in managed assets. Now if you'll excuse me, I have a merger to close." The sound of forks dropping onto fine china echoed through the ballroom. Victoria's perfectly glossed mouth hung open. My mother's champagne glass frozen halfway to her lips. But you're unemployed," Victoria stammered. "You've been doing consulting." I smiled, pulling out my phone to display the breaking news headline. SP Global CEO Sarah Parker set to close largest Asian merger of the year. "Actually, sister dear, I've been building an empire. Happy birthday, Mom. Sorry I can't stay for cake." The silence that had fallen over the ballroom was shattered by the sound of my mother's champagne glass slipping from her fingers and shattering on the marble floor. No one moved to clean it up. They were all too busy staring at their phones, frantically Googling my name in SP Global. This can't be right," Victoria stammered, her perfectly manicured fingers scrolling through news articles. "SP Global, one of the fastest-growing investment firms in Asia, founded by Sarah Parker, estimated personal net worth." Her face went pale as she reached the numbers. $4 billion, my father whispered, his own phone displaying the Forbes article from last month. "My God, Sarah. Actually, it's closer to $5 billion now," I corrected quietly. "The Singapore merger will push it higher." The whispers started spreading through the ballroom like wildfire. I could see my mother's society friends huddled in corners, frantically texting and making calls. The same people who'd been smirking at my modest lifestyle minutes ago were now trying to catch my eye, their faces painted with desperate attempts at friendly smiles. But why didn't you tell us?" My mother's voice was barely a whisper. "All these years. Would you have believed me?" I asked, meeting her eyes. 3 years ago when I tried to tell you about my business plan, you and Dad said I was playing entrepreneur. When I attempted to discuss investment strategies at Christmas dinner, Victoria said I should leave the real business to professionals." Victoria flinched at the reminder. We didn't know." "Exactly. You didn't know because you never bothered to ask. You were all too busy assuming I was a failure to notice I was building something bigger than anything our family has ever achieved." My phone buzzed again. Another message from my assistant. "Board members getting impatient. Private terminal ready for departure." I turned to address the room, my voice carrying clearly through the stunned silence. "I apologize for disrupting the celebrations, but business calls. Mom, that wine I brought you? It's a 1982 Chateau Lafite Rothschild. The entire case is being delivered tomorrow. I remember how much you loved it at that vineyard in France last summer." "But I wasn't in France last summer," my mother said, confused. "No, but I was. I bought the vineyard. Consider it part of your birthday present." The sound of more glasses dropping echoed through the room. My father's face had turned an interesting shade of red as he struggled to process this information. Senator Williams, who had been watching the scene unfold with increasing interest, stepped forward. "Ms. Parker, I've been following SP Global's remarkable rise. Perhaps we could discuss some potential collaborations." "My office will be in touch, Senator," I replied smoothly. "Though you might want to reconsider your son's management of your family's trust. His recent investments have been questionable at best." Victoria's fiancé, who had been puffing up his chest at the senator's approach, suddenly looked like he'd swallowed a lemon. My father finally found his voice. "Sarah, sweetheart, all these years we thought. You thought I was a disappointment," I finished for him. "The Parker family failure. Your disappointment gave me the freedom to build something on my own. No family connections, no handed-down clients, no legacy admissions. Everything I have I earned myself. I checked my watch. A subtle Patek Philippe that cost more than Victoria's engagement ring. Now if you'll excuse me, I have a merger to close. Wait. Victoria called out as I turned to leave. All those times you borrowed money. The trust fund. I smiled. Check the accounts, sister dear. Every penny was returned with 300% interest. I needed you all to believe I was struggling while I built my company. It was easier that way. Easier, my mother whispered. Yes, easier. Because success built in silence is sweeter than success built on family connections. By the way, Dad, remember that struggling tech startup you refused to invest in last year? The one you said would never amount to anything. My father's face showed dawning recognition. SP Global bought it last month for $500 million. You might want to update your investment strategy. The sound of car doors outside announced my driver's arrival. Right on time. Sarah, please. My mother stepped forward, her perfect makeup showing traces of tears. Don't go. We should talk about this. All of this. I paused at the doorway, looking back at my family, my mother's pleading face, my father's shocked expression, Victoria's crumbling facade of superiority. We will talk, Mom. But right now I have a company to run and a merger to close. I'll have my office set up a proper family meeting next week. Victoria, you might want to bring your investment portfolio. I noticed some concerning patterns that we should discuss. As I walked out of the ballroom, I could hear the chaos erupting behind me. The whispers had turned to open conversations, phones were ringing, and the carefully orchestrated birthday celebration had transformed into something entirely different. My driver held the door open to a sleek black Maybach, my actual car, not the Toyota I'd arrived in. To the airport, Ms. Parker? It's James. And call ahead to make sure the jet is ready. We have a merger to close. As we pulled away from the country club, I caught one last glimpse of my family through the ballroom windows. They were still standing there, phones in hand, watching my departure with expressions of shock, regret, and dawning realization. The quiet empire I'd built in silence was finally making noise, and the echoes would be reverberating through the Parker family for years to come. The private terminal at Logan International Airport was quiet as I walked through its exclusive corridors. My pilot, Captain Anderson, stood waiting beside my Gulfstream G650. Everything's ready, Ms. Parker. Singapore board members have been notified of our departure. Expected arrival time is 2 a.m. local. I nodded, climbing the stairs to my jet. Inside, my assistant Maria was already seated, multiple tablets spread before her showing real-time market data and merger details. The media's already picking up the story from your mother's party, she said, sliding one tablet toward me. Your family's sudden discovery of your success is trending on social media. I glanced at the screen, seeing photos already circulating from the party. Someone had captured the exact moment of revelation, my mother's frozen expression, Victoria's dropped jaw, my father's reddened face. The headlines were already spinning. Hidden billionaire, the heiress who built an empire in secret. Parker family shocked. Black sheep daughter revealed as financial powerhouse. SP Global CEO's family learns of success at mother's birthday. My phone buzzed continuously with messages. Victoria, Sarah, please call me. We need to talk. Mom, darling, I'm so sorry. Please come back. Dad, I was wrong. Can we meet when you return? I turned off my phone as the jet prepared for takeoff. The next 12 hours were crucial for the business merger. Family matters could wait. Maria, I asked, what's happening in Singapore? The board is excited but cautious. The Zhang family wants more conditions added, but we still hold the stronger position. I smiled. 3 years ago, my dad had said investing in Asian markets was too risky. Now those same markets had helped me build a billion-dollar empire. Tell the Zhang family their conditions are accepted with one change. We'll give them more board seats, but SP Global stays in control. At cruising altitude, I finally had time to think about the night's events. For 5 years, I'd lived a double life, pretending to be a struggling daughter in Boston while secretly running one of the biggest companies in Asia. Hiding the truth hadn't been easy, but it was necessary. I remembered the moment I chose silence. It was after a family dinner. My sister Victoria laughed at my business idea. My dad offered me a low-level job at his company, so I could learn real business. That night I decided to prove them wrong, on my own. The rest of the flight was full of meetings and documents. As we neared Singapore, Maria updated me on the situation back home. Your dad's office has called 8 times. The family lawyer is trying to look into SP Global. And now your sister's firm suddenly wants to partner. Of course, I said as the skyline came into view. Tell them all. No talks until after the merger. Through proper channels only. We landed smoothly. Black cars were waiting for us along with reporters. Miss Parker, did your family just find out you're a billionaire? Was this your way of getting revenge? I raised a hand. No comments on my personal life. I'm here to close a merger that will reshape the Asian market. Inside the car, Maria showed me the latest headlines from Boston. My mother's birthday party had turned into chaos after I left. One article called it, "The Birthday Revelation." A video was going viral of Victoria trying to explain to her fiancé's family how she didn't know her sister was a billionaire. At SP Global's headquarters, the Zhang family greeted us. Mr. Zhang, the family's leader, shook my hand. Miss Parker, he said, we admire how you kept your success quiet. Very wise. I gave a small bow. Sometimes silence is the strongest move. The merger talks lasted all night. By morning, SP Global was the biggest investment company in Asia. My net worth jumped by another $1 billion. As champagne was passed around, I checked my phone. There were hundreds of messages. From family, old friends, people who had ignored me before. But one message stood out, from my mom. Sarah, I see now why you stayed silent. We left you no choice. I'm not asking for forgiveness, just a chance to know the real you. Happy birthday to me. My gift was discovering who you truly are. I replied simply. Landing in Boston tomorrow. Dinner at my place. Just family. It's time for the truth. Mr. Zhang lifted his glass. To SP Global and its incredible CEO. I raised mine too, thinking about the dinner waiting for me back home. To success built quietly and truth finally told. As the sun rose over Singapore, I smiled. The biggest business merger was done. But now came the real challenge. Merging my two worlds. The one I built in silence and the family I left behind.